Hello, citizens. I am on Aberdeen, just having a little bit of fun, and I thought I would talk to you a bit about the expo. Well, I did some activities. And what activities do you think we're going to be doing today on Aberdeen? Well, I'm wearing a Pembroke suit. I have my cutlass here. What a beautiful day. Look at the sun is shining. It's a balmy 225 degrees Celsius, and I'm expected to be able to last about an hour before I expire. What better conditions can you hope for? But look at here. We've got our rock. We've got it all loaded up. We're going to do a little bit of rock mining, mainly because this will be one of the last times I'll do any rock mining before they finally fix the stackable gems, and we'll be able to stack our gems up there. So it is December 5th. The expo is now done, but the discounted starter packs are still available until the 8th. So then they're gone. This includes that amazing deal currently on for the Drake Cutter for $45 US, which is 25% off. That comes with LTI and a bonus livery paint. I think it's called the Wind Chill paint. What's great about this pack is it gives you a great starter to get into the verse and try out the game, and is potentially all you'll ever need to earn UEC and buy more ships in game. But if you ever want to upgrade it in the future, the value of the ship saves you the money on upgrades, as well as the insurance is going to transfer over. So that is pretty awesome. Speaking of money and ships, that brings me to my next two topics. First is in-game money. There's news out there that the next patch, which I'm still hopeful will be out this month. Ooh, there's... How close is this? Let's go see what this is. With the implementation of persistent entity streaming, it's going to be a full wipe. Now, this seems to be news to many, but I assumed all along that this was the case. With the new databases entered, new ways of information to objects being handled, I'm not surprised to see the new patch. Once again, everyone's going to be starting out with only their hangar items and starting UEC. Now, I left those. They're kind of on a hill. I'm going to keep looking for some more gems somewhere else. I'm unsure if there's going to be a stipend like last time, but with how poorly that rolled out, I doubt it. I think this is good. I love wipes. With the new patch, I look forward to starting again. Part of this, because I'll admit, some of the bigger game loops and paths are not fully or even in the game at all, so they're not fully implemented. So if I just keep building and buying ships and building up my fleet with no real goal, my content would possibly get stale. So the restart and the challenge gives me the opportunity to try new things, to visit new locations, and see more of the verse, which I might normally skip. I am planning to actually do a lot more touring of all the locations in the upcoming patch. Along with that, there will indeed be new locations when the patch drops. New race courses like the PTV track in Orson, caves and wrecks, and the beginning of salvage and repair, which has me very excited. Also, one of the most exciting things, which is a stackable rock gem. So we're up here, we're looking, well, there we go. There's a group, looks like 3, kind of hard to tell there. If you're currently grinding out money for a new ship, I'd say stop now and just play the game for enjoyment. If you like mining, like I do, I love mining, so that's why I'm doing a little bit of rock mining today, or bounties, by all means, but your goal should be testing out new mechanics for making that money after the wipe, more so than trying to earn the UEC itself. Look at that landing. Perfect. A little bit kind of a hill here. Let's open up this ramp. Perfect. Ooh, the ramp kind of... I thought it would go all the way through, so that's kind of interesting. Now on to ships. With the expo, there were new ships. There were old ships and rare ships all up for grabs, including some that you're not able to usually buy at any other time of the year. There was also the daily screenshot contest, which I did not win a thing, to be fair. The sheer number of screenshots and the quality of them, I never had a chance. So none of those ships made in my fleet. And I'm going to go over and tell you what I bought, what I didn't buy, and why. First of all, I did not get any concept ships. There are a few reasons why, but the main thing is I don't have much money, and I don't have a lot to spend on this game at the moment. With the constant new addition of ships in production, I don't see the value for me personally to get a ship that's going to be available sometime in the future. I do have a couple of CCUs, from past concepts that I would like to one day own, and I'll hold on to those. But as far as the new concept ships, I didn't pick any up. I didn't get any CCUs for them. The big concept this expo was the Galaxy from RSI. The reason I didn't even consider it was twofold. One was the price. This is a big, expensive ship. And two, it's not even a ship that really grabbed my attention. It wasn't something I was really into. It looked okay, but I wasn't a huge fan of the look of the ship. The brief image in the Jax McCleary video actually looked better than the other promo material, in my opinion. So in-game, I might change my mind. But another reason was because if I did get a Galaxy, it's most likely going to be one that I'm going to buy in-game whenever that is an option. The concept of the ship being modular is cool, but as far as modular ships go, I still prefer like the Caterpillar. Ooh, we're getting some good gems here. The modules may be smaller, but the fact you can switch them out and have more variation is my jam. The Endeavor is another example, albeit at a much more massive scale. I don't know how modularity will work. If you own a module, do you have to be at your home location to convert your ship, or will owning them allow you the ability to upgrade them at any port? Who knows? On top of that, will upgrading take hours or days, unless you like pay for a speed up process like when you're claiming a ship? Personally, I'd rather earn 3 ships in game that fit those rules than to have one that you're switching out around. I say this now, but if I ever take one out for a flight in the future, I reserve the right to change my mind on that. I'm also not a fan of the ship being available with base modules, so like if you have the ship, what's in that rear space if you don't have one of the modules in there? I hope it's at least the ship hangar that gets replaced with the freight or hospital refining or whatever other modules they add while the ship is in development. I do like the fact that the ship has a rear hangar door and not one of the top loading ones that is currently in stations. That makes much more sense for me, especially with smaller ships, to fly straight in and straight out as opposed to like lowering down in most cases. Final concern was that they showed a prospector in one of the photos getting its bags unloaded with a downwards facing tractor beam. However, that might have been the cargo module, since that ability to unload the prospect like that did not seem to be part of the refinery module from the looks of it. They didn't show how that would open it up and how that'd be possible. So either they didn't really show how clearly that would work, or maybe this is just a very artistic license taken on some of the concept art. So a base ship is over $400 Canadian, so that's like 350 US, I think it was. The complete version would be almost $800 for me to buy, and each module is 100 or more. So the Galaxy is a nice ship, but so expensive, definitely not for me. No, I didn't get any other concept ships. I mean, there's other concept ships still in development out there. There's so many of them, in fact. You could just see how many they've announced that are still not being made. The Banu Merchantman or the Orion are ones that I would love to have in the future. I would have those in my fleet over any others, but I still didn't get any of those or even any CCUs to those. No 600i, even though that's in-game, it's not always available, but I didn't get that ship either. Again, the cost of that ship is just too massive for me to even consider at this point. And then there was the Corsair. Again, price was a huge factor for me giving this a pass. So the Corsair was released, but honestly, even if it was $60 or $75, I'd have given it a pass. I love the interior and some features. I like the levers on the elevators, the roof access for repairing the hull. I like how it looks in flight. The wings, they're all really cool how they open up. Overall, I think it's a great ship, but currently combat is not for me. I'm also just waiting for the next patch or two to see, how much they've nerfed this ship in order to see how much Spectrum will blow up when they've suddenly reduced the effectiveness after they've made a bunch of sales. If I was a bounty hunter or had a crew for more exploration, I think I'd consider the ship. In fact, I like the fact that Drake, unlike this Cutlass here, they gave each person their own room, a little bit of privacy, along with something to actually do while the ship is in flight. It's a great ship. It does fly like a brick that wants to point its nose down in atmosphere at all times, making the pilot struggle. So hopefully that will actually be fixed in the future. But at almost $350 with like $250 US, it's again way too rich for my blood for a ship like that. The last ship I certainly did not pick up was the new Pisces, the C8R, the rescue edition of the Pisces. Now, that's not a cheap ship by any means, but at $65, it's also not overly expensive. But there was a deal to get it at a reduced price, and as an upgrade. And I was first excited about the ship when I heard it. I didn't want to get into the issue right now about the Best in Show paints, and that's a whole other can of worms. But it's interesting to see what the ship had to offer as far as a cool interior and possible cool ship in the future. But I don't see any appeal personally outside of the LTI token for picking that up, and I'll explain why. The thing I like about the Pisces is that until recently I never flew one or gave it any thought, but it's a small ship. Make that it's like a tiny ship. And when I discovered you could do so much on top of that, you could actually spawn it at a Platinum Bay, it became a ship that I loved and I think anyone should have. But they're super cheap, and so you can get one in-game fairly quickly, so there's no real reason to buy one. So now, a while back, there was a sale where you could get the C8X starter for, I think it was $45, and I would say if you were a new player, to snatch that up in a hurry, because the deal, just like the cutter going on now, I think was awesome. Another thing I liked about the Pisces was the small, simple interior. You could get from the ramp to the seat and a few unobstructed steps. This is something lost with the Rescue. The small glass door is really cool, and from a sense of an airlock to keep patients alive, it makes sense. It also keep the room sterile. I also love that it came with a fully stocked cabinet that you could have some med and oxy pens and food and water. I don't think currently it'd be great except for a roleplay ship. What hurts it are two things. One is there's not a big enough gap between it and a ship like the Cutlass Red. So if I was to choose, I'd go with the Cutlass. Possibly in the future, there'll be rescue missions that need a super tiny ship to squeeze into a cave or wreck in space. Secondly, as an issue with medical gameplay right now, this is also kind of affects the uselessness of something like this ship, or even something like the Galaxy Med Bay. Like, why do you have all those med beds when a med gun is doing the same thing? Very few players are going to be dragged or tractor beamed out into the C8R and placed on the bed to heal. And there's really currently no reason to stabilize someone to get them to a hospital. In the future, I can see this being a thing in game, but right now, a med gun and a standard Pisces will probably do you better. You gain the jump seat, the cargo space, and only really lose the flashing lights for those, and you can get those with the Cutlass Red. So what did I buy this expo as we mine some Hadnite? Because if you read the title of this video, you know that I indeed did pick up a few things. Well, if you are a subscriber, you know that I currently won a Vulture with the pumpkin carving contest. So I did have an old Freelancer Dirt to Vulture CCU I no longer needed, along with another CCU. So I cashed those in, got myself $10. With another $5, I picked myself up a couple of new CCUs for ships that I may want to hold on to for the future. With either that, or I could have used that money to subscribe, but there was no flare I wanted, so I got a couple CCUs. Then I got two ships for my reasoning, and they're twofold. One is they were cheap ships that I could afford to get, and also with the thought that in the future, if I hold giveaways, I could use them as prizes. So monetization will be happening in the new year, and if you want to possibly win them or other cool prizes when I start earning some profit on this channel, just be sure to keep subscribed and keep your eyeballs peeled. So, ship number one, and I can't show you these because they're not on this account, they're on another account. And not currently showing up. I might have to do a character reset, but I don't feel like figuring that out right now. But before I continue, I did see, this is kind of a side, in 3.18 there is come some changes to both how bed logging works, and more importantly, a way to reset your character without a full character reset. So hopefully that means you won't lose your food or ammo when you do a reset. We will see. Well, we are on kind of a little bit of a tangent. I just remembered this. I thought I would bring this up. I'd like to say a thank you to a channel viewer, MSR Games, who pointed out that my original intro of showing the logo on the helmet coming in said International LAN Party, not Intergalactic LAN Party, and I said I would explain why that's the case. So I'm going to actually do that now because it is kind of a funny story. Originally, when I started coming up with the idea of making YouTube videos, I actually started a YouTube channel which I never posted a single thing to, and it was with myself, and I was planning on a friend of mine who lives in another country to be playing games together, doing kind of multiplayer games, and I thought it'd be hilarious to call it the International LAN Party, since it was him and I playing games together in two separate countries. And I actually made the channel, like I said, and never posted a video to it, although eventually I may actually start posting some videos to there if I start working out some content with him. So that channel exists. It's entirely blank. There's nothing in there. But then when I started getting interested in the space games, I wanted to make a channel specifically for space games. I thought I'm going to call it the Intergalactic LAN Party because that would be just as funny to me as the International LAN Party. And I started producing videos. Wasn't just space games. It turned out to be entirely, so far, Star Citizen games, as you can see on this channel. All Star Citizen. And so in my mind, I've always remembered the original channel, and when I was making this, I just typed it without thinking, and I didn't even notice. It looked fine to me, and so thank you, MSR Games, for actually noticing that I wrote the wrong thing in there, and that's why it says that. So I have fixed it, so any new movie going forwards will have the new intro that you can see here, says Intergalactic LAN Party on this channel. Also, I've made a little bit of a change too. You'll notice in the bottom left corner, I've changed, I always have my referral code on the video, but in the bottom left corner, I'm going to try to remember to put in the current version of the game that I'm playing, so that if you're watching some of my videos, because people ask sometimes, a good example is landing, coming in for a landing, how do you get the glowing box showing you your landing pad as opposed to just the chevron? Unfortunately, you can't anymore. Unfortunately, that is version specific. Same with when I was showing how to quickly load bodies into the vehicle from a bunker and using that to loot them, as opposed to putting the bodies in a box. Bodies despawn a lot quicker now. When I made that video, it was a much older video, a much older version of the game. So hopefully by having the version in the bottom corner, it's going to make it a little bit easier that if you're playing along, you can at least see what version I'm playing versus what version is currently out there. So those are some changes that have happened to the channel. Thanks again. If you ever notice something, you have a question about something, or if you really want clarification on something, always let me know in the comments below. I do read my comments, and hopefully I can help you out. So that is it. A little bit of a tangent. Let's get back to work. Okay, so ship number 1 I got for myself is a Pisces. Now, not the expensive C8R, but the basic C8X with the Best in Show paint and the 10-year insurance, which is more than I'll ever need. Now, I did not need to get it. No, it's absolutely, it's such a cheap shipping game that it's really one you could just buy in game. You don't really need to buy one and own one. But I've grown to love it so much that I got it for the reason that I could potentially give it away in the future, as well as I love the idea of starting with the basic starters. You can watch me and follow along if you have a small ship as well. I love that no matter what, I'll have a ship that can spawn on a planet, and it's a really solid ship. Also, the red Best in Show paint means that although I don't have the flashy lights, I can still play medical rescue with a med gun if I want. Ship number 2 should not be a surprise to anyone. I got myself a cutter, the newest little ship from Greg. It's not awesome, it's not great, but it's also not horrible. I think it's going to be such a cool little starter that, again, new players can follow along and see how I utilize it in the verse. In the future, if I ever decide to pass it along, and somebody is going to get a really cool little starter ship with lifetime insurance. So that's it, I guess. My fleet has grown, not by a lot, but it's got 2 solid little additions for you to look forward to seeing in this channel. Hopefully before Christmas 3.18 is out, and it's not too much of a buggy mess while everyone is on holidays. Either way, I'll be here in the verse, and I hope to see you there flying along with me. Until next time, everybody, thanks again for watching.